Hello, everybody. Welcome. Roses like investigated. Hello, huh? Everybody, welcome. Roses like investigated. So, wow. Let's see here. Okay, so, hi, guys. Oh, so sorry. Sorry, guys. Hi, KB. Sorry, guys. I realized just as I was about to go on that I had not posted the direct link. Sometimes I forget, so I reposted. So hopefully, maybe more people. Who knows? And I know that this is not, this is like a one-off topic, and many people, it's not a, how do you say it, that mainstream. Okay, let's what I mean. Oh, hello. That's okay, KB. Nice to see you. So anyway, oh my God, sorry. I realize I have my makeup. I don't have makeup on the lips, so it looks weird. Okay, sorry. I'm wiping off because I have foundation. My lips great. Okay. So anyway, so okay, so here I am. Okay, so I just want to say, so I'm doing this, guys, because I've always had this, kind of fascination with the AIDS era. Okay, I remember the parents, like, kind of like in the background, like parents of someone I knew passed away from AIDS, like back before the vaccines. Okay, not vaccines. I mean, um, the cocktail drugs. Okay, so people get very, very skinny, and you would see people on the street, they look like they were in a concentration camp, like so skinny. It was, sometimes you would see on the street like so frail and skinny. Okay, um and uh and so people die, back in those days. It was like, if you were diagnosed with, most likely the greatest likelihood, not everybody died, of course. But you had to live, imagine if people had been diagnosed in the early 80s, they had to they must have survived at least until 1996. Okay, which is when these drugs became available. Okay, there were try medical trials in 1995, I think. So only think about it, you had to survive 15 years with this very dreadful disease. Okay, with all kinds of complications. So so anyway, so I always thought it was so kind of like so interesting and so beautiful how so many people helped. Okay, even though at the time there was so much prejudice, and they were treated so like, not only did they have a horrific disease that was by definition just completely awful, and you could catch all kinds of other secondary things, and that's how most, the disease itself was not the killer, right? It was just, it weakened your immune system so that every all the other ones could jump in. So it was just so horrible how they died, and then at the same time that they were dying such an awful, all done like, exactly, it's 13 people between, right? It was so many people passed away, and not only was the disease awful, but the way they were treated by the society was awful also. So you know what I mean? It was the combination of, like, of how it happened, the way they were treated, not just by, so it was just so awful, honestly. And I'm like, how could, to me, it's like, wow, it's almost like it doesn't get the attention. I don't explain it. It's not just, I just feel like the courage, honestly, when I think about it, the courage of people, how they helped each other, how nobody cared. Like, to me, that is just like the greatest. It's like humanity at its greatest. Okay, honestly. And I know, I link, guys, this stuff about, you know what I mean, like, the documentaries and stuff like that. And I know it's like, for some people it's too much. I know, I don't expect you obviously to watch it. It can be intense, especially probably if you've lived through it, because you recognized a lot of things, okay, in those documentaries. But for me, who wasn't there, like, necessarily, on a directly, I just look at it and I was like, oh, these people are amazing. Like, really, how, like, beautiful people, like, you know what I mean, like how great humanity can be, no matter, you know what I mean. Okay, so one second, guys. I need to get some. I want to have my little pillow because I sense something here. One second, just for the support. Okay, okay. I'm sorry. I'll be right back. Okay, I'll be right back. I'll just grab something. Okay, just one sec. So okay, so anyway, so here's my little pillow, my energy pillow, just because just because I feel like I don't know, I know even for me guys, honestly, it can be difficult, just to even the amount of sadness, you know what I mean, that it's like there's so much grief still connected, it's almost like as if people were not allowed to grieve because you could even talk about it, you know what I mean, like I don't know, just um so it's just very sad, okay, this situation, but the thing is that I want to say. So then, anyway, so then the documentary. When I watched the documentary, guys, I didn't know much about ACT UP, to be honest. I used to think, oh, it's just those people yelling, like yelling people. Honestly, I didn't know much, and I was like, oh, they are the ones who complete, And then I was like, then I watched the documentary. I was like, oh my god, these are the most amazing people in the world. They were. This is what I was talking. I was kind of like, uh, making a little fun of Beanie, okay, like because this is look at young people that made the difference, that showed up. Okay, those are the people in ACT UP, and the interesting thing is that they had a very specific goal. That's what I was saying, it's not just anger, is that you have to have a specific goal, and they were extremely intelligent and focused, and it's like a do or die literally for them, okay. So I just thought they changed so much, and they know, guys, because honestly, guys, if you look at how much they know, like think about, I feel like the government and the agencies should talk to those activists and hire them, like because they know, maybe they don't care, they're not just, they have other things to do with their life, but I just feel like they know so much about how to organize communities around people, how to feed. There were people feeding other people. There were others, kind of like acting as nurses for like informal nurses. There were people who would visit. And in one of the documentaries, there was this woman. She was a flight. Look how nice! Like she was a flight attendant, and she would come to the hospital in San Francisco, and she would sing and dance for them just for entertainment. And like, oh my god, made me cry because and you feel like sometimes, guys, you feel like all this stuff that we're dealing with right now is complicated, right? And that we don't how what can we do, like complain about, oh, the Democrats or this, but there's always, like, you think that it's nothing, but it's a lot. Think about the difference these people made in the lives of people who are suffering. They made a lot. They made a difference. Okay, so I'm just saying, like, I'm not preaching, I'm not saying you have to do anything, but I'm just saying, like, there's always humanity, somebody willing to, you know what I mean, and how they organized it and how they made it happen. And then they won, at the end of the day, they won. And I thought it was one of the reasons I also wanted to do this today is because Dr. Fauci, just how interesting. I was watching it again, and I don't know if I feel like I saw his name before, and then I was watching again the because I watched many times. I watched many times. I have addiction to some documentaries. I watch many times. So I was like, oh, there he is. There's Dr. Fauci. Isn't that hilarious? No, it was not hilarious, but I was like, wow, how interesting. The Dr. Fauci was there at the time. He was responsible. He was the head of I think it's the National Health something. I forgot the name of the place that he was. He still has the same job, but he was the head of research, or like handling all these. I don't know exactly, guys, honestly, the name of the agency that he was the head of, but he dealt with a lot of the AIDS researchers. And yesterday, even I was watching the press conference, and this woman said, we owe a lot to the AIDS activists who fought for so they acknowledged, okay, they acknowledged. And I thought it was so interesting because Dr. Fauci, just as it was as he's doing today, he was dealing with a government who was really anti-gay. Like, I mean, did I just said it, like anti, like, you know what I mean? He's dealing with a government that today they don't care about people, right? Trump. And then they were very anti-AIDS. So, but at the same time, he was able to be diplomatic. Okay, so it's a gift because I would not be able to do it. So it's just thought it was so interesting that he knows from these experiences. And I think, guys, today also, because this disease that we have, coronavirus, affects people from all classes, especially now it looks like many upper class peoples, the attention is different. Let's just get real. Okay. If it had been just poor people, homeless people, gay people, okay, and Haitian, initially there was a lot of Haitians who caught it. There was a reason for it, a long story, but then they didn't care because, oh, whatever, some random people, like gay people, who cared, like, right, the fringes of society in some way, right, to them. So now this disease that we have is a equal opportunity, because it, right. So It's like it's interesting. I find it interesting, but obviously it's a very different situation. It's not, the difference is that this one we don't know where it's coming from, right? We don't know exactly where it's, we don't know exactly where you, how you can catch it. Like you could be, I could be out there and go get a coffee or something, and someone talks to me and comes to my face, and I was like, oh, I got sick now. Okay, so you don't know. I was reading this story about this woman. I think she's a psychologist or a psychiatrist or something. She had come to New York early March for a conference. It was like a psychology or psychiatrist. I don't remember. I think it's psychology conference or something. And then she went back to Washington, D.C., I think. And then she got these symptoms, and it turns out she has it. But then, and then she's like, oh, did I go? Was it at the conference room? Like, it turns out a lot of people in this conference had it or caught it. But think about it, like the one, she took the subway, she went to the hotel, she did this, she talked to somebody, this place, that place. Who is to know? Like, she think about how many. Now we're at a stage where where there's so much happening. So, so that's a story. Now, okay, so now let's talk about the people. And I was gonna say this, guys. I was gonna say this, but I didn't. I didn't post it because I thought maybe sometimes I overpromise. But I wanted to talk to the people that I listed. Because the Bob person that I added was because he was on the documentary of Act Up, and he passed away, but he was very prominent. Okay, and there was another person that I think, there was a guy who's a Latino guy. I have to look him up, but I feel like he's coming here too. So, and the other person, Randy, okay, he's the author of the book And the Band Played On, which is a book that was written about like the search about sort of like the like, how do I say this? I feel like it's sort of similar to the era that we're living now, which is the early days of how did the disease spread and how researchers were trying to figure out where it had come from. Okay, so he wrote this book, and I watched the movie, and there's a caveat here that one of the like later on they realized, or they come to the conclusion that the book that he wrote, Randy Schultz wrote, that there was a misconception in the book. Okay, in the sense that it's about the patient zero. They portrayed the patient zero as a kind of like a bad person. Maybe he wasn't such a bad person, but that's not the point. The point is that he was there. He wrote about the early days of the epidemic, and I think we're at the early days of the situation. Okay, so like the coronavirus. So I'd be interested to see, how, like, what do they know? Like, what can they tell us? Okay, and then, guys, yesterday, as I was watching the documentary, the first one, the Act Up one, was amazing because, so this is, can I tell you, this is like such a one. It's like maybe the best protest art of all time. So they protested Jesse Helms by going to his house. I don't know if it's South Carolina somewhere. I don't remember exactly where he's from. So they sewed this gigantic costume, like, I'm sorry, gigantic condom. Okay, huge. So that, and they went up on his house, went to the roof of his house, and put it on top of his house. The condom. Isn't it amazing? I was like, you see it on the video. It was amazing. It was like hilarious, but it was like, and they were like, well, we have money. If there's any property damage, we'll pay it. They don't worry. They're not worried about it. They were just like, this is just a protest. And when I was watching, I saw him, guys, over on the other side, Jesse Helms, and he's like this. His head is like this, and he's like this, like, because I feel, guys, I really feel that he's experiencing the pain of the AIDS patients that he mocked behind the scenes, that he laughed at, that he didn't care about. So now, this is what I was saying. I don't know that hell exists, but I think that they make you experience what the people went through. Okay. And in a way that it's almost like, it's not that you observe it, it's almost like you feel it in your skin. It's hard to explain it. It's like you have to feel it in order to understand it. So, just the way that AIDS patients were suffering awful pain. Okay, he's suffering. Like, imagine, guys, to all these, I don't know how many, or how he's still there. He passed away a while back, I think, more than a decade ago. So this is like all of them, guys. It was absolutely awful. So he's experiencing still. Think about it. Think about it in real time. How many hundreds of years a person's going to have to experience those things until he experiences the pain of every single person he, you know, think about. Think about it seriously. It's like, it's interesting. I find it interesting. So, and then, guys, and the other thing is Reagan. So KB, she asked me about Reagan. I thought about it because he's part of it. He's a big part of, like, of trying to stop AIDS research and trying to not use the name of AIDS and stuff like that. So even though I was like, I was like, oh, I don't necessarily want it to make it like, but it is a political thing. How could I was like, oh, do I make it? It's like, no, it was a political thing. The way that he would treat it was everything was a political thing, right? So I want to find out, okay, because how does he feel about it? Okay, does he learn, you know what I mean? But mostly, guys, I wanted to know really, what do they know? I think especially in terms of both Jesse Helms and Reagan, what about treatments and research and what's happening now and versus what's going to happen, okay, like later, okay, like, you know what I mean, like what do we know that can be done, what should be done? Because guys, every time I think of the other side, okay, I see that it's about humans, okay, it's not about how many things you have or how whatever excuse you have for the things you've done. It's like, do you care about other people? Do you, I mean, it's like, say, it's not that you have to be a saint, but you know what I mean, it's a kind of like, try to not harm others, okay? So that's the story, and I'm gonna post, because is it weird, it's so weird that I have this like kind of obsession, but there's other books and documentaries I'm gonna recommend when I post it more publicly. I just wanted to post these two because these are the ones that I watch more often, because I watch many times. I watch many times. So that they are very like they give an overview, okay? Because there's others that are more specific, that are kind of like almost too. There was another one. There's about a hospital ward, and I was like, maybe it's too real for a moment, too real, a little real. But it's about this pioneering AIDS ward in San Francisco, okay, and how, you know, it's like interviews with nurses, doctors, and there was this woman. It's so funny. She's not funny. She's an like early stage, like I'm sorry, early era like Trump supporter type. Like she was a surgeon who was like anti, like it was really interesting. It's like a very right wing person in the hospital in San Francisco. I'm like, dude, can you find another place? But anyway, so it's just interesting, but for another time. But now let's get started. I had to talk. I had many conversations. Oh, and the other thing, oh my God, do I go on so many threads? But I wanted to say also, guys, first I want to ask about, you know, all of this stuff, what could help. And then if you want, I mean, this is up to you, okay? If you have friends that you want to ask about conversations with friends from the other side that passed away, okay, then you can, okay, but towards the end, if it's okay, if you want, okay, but it's not, you know, it's not mandatory, because I know in the past, if I say, oh, you know, do you have someone that you want to ask about, then it could become like a very extremely long, so I don't necessarily, but let's see, okay, but I, you know, okay, so like that's what I want to start, okay, so like that's what that's beautiful later coming to my head as I breathe in. Great circle of life. Step into it if you protect it, connect it, like that's information come only from the heart source to create the good and only the good. Okay, so only go here to the okay, so so you know, guys, let me actually start with a this is not a person who passed away, but Dr. Fauci. Since Dr. Fauci was present the entire time in the AIDS research and AIDS situation, and now he's president of the coronavirus, let me ask him, like, what do you know, what can you tell us about the parallels and how close, what is going on, and what's your advice for us? Okay, is it okay? I'm going to ask Dr. Fauci. Okay, so Dr. Fauci, what is going on, what is the difference? You see, I could see from, of course, I'm a scientist and I was observing. I kept track. He was, you know, shows him and the lab coat, okay, looking at the images of the pathogens, you know, all the illnesses and how it transformed. It's like I could see how people would die. This was obvious that not only we could see it microscopically, that the virus really did like a destroyed the person's immune system, and I could also see them in person, how awful this death was and how awfully painful it was. And he's like, I'm a Catholic, I'm Italian, I believe it. You know, he has this thing about him, okay, I think that he's a good person, and he, you know, and he knew, because I feel like it's kind of interesting, similar to what he's doing to Trump. He was telling the government what was really going on, but they, to them, it was almost like, okay, it was similar to saying, oh, you know, this person is like you know, is like, how do you call it, a drug addict or whatever you call it, okay, you know, oh, who cares, like, you know, the government attitude was like, oh, they did it to themselves, okay, you know what I mean, they thought they did it to themselves. So okay, so that's the story. Okay, okay. So what do you see happening now? What do you think is going to happen, Dr. Fauci? What is the parallel? There is much greater mobilization. Obviously, it's not as deadly. It has something to do with certain people who don't have certain defenses tend to suffer more, but it doesn't have this stigma that AIDS had. Okay, it doesn't have, right, it wasn't a like, it wasn't like about the people who were in the edges of illness. Okay, okay, and then what do you see? How do you see it moving forward as far as the vaccines and as far as medicines and things? It's going to take a while because we have to, that it's everybody can have a theory, but you can only find out with testing, and that takes time. You have to see people over time. You can't just make assumptions. Okay, so he's seeing that. Okay, and vaccines and medicines can be dangerous if they don't work, so it has to be safe, and that's what I'm here for, to make sure that all of the testing is safe. Okay, so what do you think is going to happen? Take great precaution. Okay, airborne. Okay, he's saying like approach it like pollen, like an allergy. It's in the air. Okay, essentially at this stage, it's in the air. It's not that it's floating through the air. That we need other people to spread it. But since you don't know where, it's very hard to tell. Just think, you have to kind of go out there thinking that there may be something in the air. So you have to protect yourself in that way. Okay. Okay. So next. Okay. So that's the story. So until then, we just have to take these precautions until it's a bit more under control. It's like for the best. Okay. In the sense that like the way that, like, basically taking care of yourself until there's we understand it a bit more as far as numbers are concerned. Okay. Okay. So next, now let's go talk to the people in ACT UP. Okay. Now just skipping because I wanted to just talk about Dr. Fauci. Okay. So Bob Rafsky. Okay. And Randy. Okay. So tell me, hello, Bob. What's going on? It's interesting because he's saying here something like, I feel this like he would looking up the sky and feeling this harrowing feeling that nobody cared. Okay, this is the thing. This was like the most. He's like, the thing that he learned the most about the era was that it was so, that he thought, or maybe, how do I say it, before, when it first emerged, they assumed that they weren't thinking about it too much, but they thought, oh, it's a disease, so people are going to care about it, they're going to have compassion. But he learned that compassion is relative. He's saying compassion is relative. Compassion has more to do with protecting your position than really looking at others in the way that, in a kind of a, say, quote unquote, godly way. So that the desperation that he felt wasn't just the pain. It was that he felt, not he felt for all the other people who were sick, but he felt like, how could we be so alone? And that is when they got angry, and they had to say, we had to use anger and we had to push, because compassion, you know how it is, it's sort of like he's saying, like the same thing, oh, people don't want to pay taxes, like they want to, those people are like, oh, I'm just going to have my foundation, I'm going to practice kindness and compassion. But it doesn't, compassion does not have this sense of urgency that anger has. Okay, it's much more detached. And he said, like he said, that people practice compassion, most people, at least in that era, when, as long as it fit within their kind of like their comfort zones. Okay, something else was just, it didn't merit, or it was too dangerous. Okay, okay, so this is it. Okay, so this is a story. Now, just so I'm gonna pause here just to answer the question. Pearl, Rosie, was it Dr. Fauci that is smartened up Trump? I don't think I'll put it this way. I don't think Trump has been smarted up. I think he's just honest. Okay, Dr. Fauci is honest. I think Trump got information from all kinds of other people about the situation, and as far he's seeing what's happening with the stock market and others, that, you know, the consequences for his presidency. I think essentially, okay, he's self-absorbed. And okay, so anyway, so let me just detach here. Okay, a little bit. I'm gonna pop out the chat. Okay, just quickly so I can continue here. So anyway, so he's saying this, and that this is humanity, saying humanity didn't learn. That's right, they didn't. It didn't awaken their compassion, because it had to do, this is the thing, the challenging thing about AIDS, putting aside the ravaging consequences, the disease itself, was that it challenged people to move beyond their closed-mindedness. They had to, if before we were people who were living on the edges of society, or chose to have a quote unquote, you know, far, or was it far out lifestyle, whatever it was just like, you know, we're sort of in the edges of society in a way, even though some of us had, like, you know, big careers or whatever. It was just something that we did, we did our thing. But when we were sick and we asked, the compassion was denied, because people, it wasn't enough for them to open their minds. And so that the legacy, the negative, it's like AIDS left a negative deficit, in the sense that it asked for humanity to say that, to have greater compassion. I don't explain it. Something like this, where you know, you would think people would be moved to do something, but they weren't, because they had their positions to withhold. And they, you know, if they had, you know, they were pillars of whatever community they were pillars of, there would be social costs if they were to support the AIDS research, right? So they would be perceived as such and such, and so they didn't do it. Okay, and what he's saying is that that's just something that humans have to deal with, and also saying that humanity is just, it is what it is, that people only will only move if something about them, something personal, is affected. Like, in other words, you see with the coronavirus that we observe that every one of us can be sick. Okay, every single person can get sick. You just have to be talking to a random person. And as much as hard as Trump is trying to like make it, oh, about Chinese people, it's not true, and we all know that. Okay, it's not about, you know, eating in some Chinese restaurant. It has nothing to do with that. It's just that it has spread, and it's kind of like a sickness, like a flu. And now, because that, you know, everyone, the threat of death is at people's door. I mean, it's not, that's, you know, of course it's not as deadly. Then everybody suddenly has to get moving. Okay, and this is it. It's like when if AIDS had been, you know, airborne or something like this, would it would have ended in, you know, the entire society would have moved to right, to change in that way. Okay, so okay, so what does he see happening? What do you see happening, Bob? What are the lessons? What can you teach us? I've never seen so many dedicated people who cared about one cause, an all uniting cause, and it was beautiful. Okay, he's saying it was just beautiful to feel that, even though it was painful, and it was painful to leave my daughter behind. It was, we were the best in the worst times. And so he thinks, yes, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be coming to the other side. Many people may die, but this is the rebalancing moment. That's when humanity can reassess and refocus. Okay. And yeah, I do think he's like, yes, it's a transition. It is a plague. He's like, yeah, it's a plague. It's a plague. He's like, yes, it's a plague in a different way. Okay. It's a different type of thing that, of course, not everybody gets sick, but you have to protect the elderly. You have to protect the ones who had autoimmune, you know, immune issues, essentially. Okay. and money will be depleted from governments, but they have to raise the taxes, right? They have to do things. It has to be thought through, because what happened is that society was coasting on too much. It's like we didn't have, how do you call it? It's like too much bonanza, too much money, or too lazy, too much money. And now when people experience losses, that's when people are, when we're forced to act, and also to see each other as like, I don't want to say equals. It's more like he's saying one to one. So if if you base the value of people in finance, in financial terms, right, where this is that's how society practically operates, where if you have a lot of money, then you can afford to go to the hospital. If you have a lot of money, then you could do this and that. But a lot of people can't afford some basics, and they can have a lot of things, but it's, their lives are valued less. Okay, it is what it is. But if this, what this disease is saying is that everyone could be a carrier, and everyone, it's a one-to-one scenario. So it kind of like, I don't say bottoms out, but it's like even the powerful people cannot be, even the powerful people cannot be protected from it. So there has to, they have to treat the people who are the poorest and the weakest if they want to survive. Okay, so that's what it's saying, is that it attacks all kinds of people. Okay, so that's what it is. Okay, so what about the community centers? And it's like, it's saying the local governments and local, like if you're in a city that doesn't have it's like, it's saying neighborhoods, there's going to be a much greater sense after all of this is done, a much greater sense of unity, of sharing, of commonality, of coming together, because we realize that it was not working. Okay, it's not working as it was. It just wasn't working. It wasn't working. And this is the kind of thing that they created a pause. Okay, they created a pause for many. Okay, you know what I mean? Okay, exactly. Phyllis is saying level the playing field, exactly. So now we have to get rid of, like you say, before with AIDS, they could look the other way because it was not part of this social circle. And even if it was, it's like, oh, they could say it was just my wayward son. It was this or that. Like it could be like he was the black sheep of the family, or whatever you could say it. But now it's something that levels the playing field, and everybody is in it together, whether they like it or not. Okay. So, okay. Okay. So I have a question. Okay, I have a question also about. I'm just gonna pause here, just say something, guys, that I really believe that there is something kind of spiritual. There's a spiritual element about this disease, the coronavirus situation, that we have to. This is a moment to pause, and I feel like, and I don't know about you guys, but I was telling you I got the salt thing, and And I feel like this morning I woke up with my nose a little bit congested. Like I was saying, I think I have a little bit of like some stuff. It could be allergies. I don't know exactly what, but there's something about it helped with decongesting the sinuses. Normally I would get this and then suddenly it would block here and it would get worse. But now it's kind of going, it's not staying. So this is a good thing. But I guess what I'm saying is that I sense that my energy is lower, and it's not just because of that. Is that I think it's like we should sleep more, we should take care of ourselves more because it's demanding. And I think, what it is, guys, is this time of change. I do think there's things that are happening on a kind of like a vibrational realm that are demanding of us. Okay, and that those of us who are staying, in this world, we have to work in that way. And to just, because I was like, guys, I just had this moment. Okay, and I don't know when it was that I felt it, or was like something I was reading. I don't remember how it happened, that it was like, oh, we have to accept it, because yesterday was kind of a little bit stressful, the live stream, because of all this news, that it seems like endlessly bad news all the time, even about Trump and all that. I feel like now all what we have to do is accept the limitations and agree to live through it. Okay, and that it's almost like I don't say let go or release the need to control. That's what it is. Release the need to control, because what makes us stressed out is that we can't control. This is for everyone, right? This is one situation that we want to remove the disease. We want to remove this man, and nothing seems to be working. But you know what? There's a greater, I think this is a greater hand here in play. And I have to let go of my, my need to control, of my, you know what I mean? Like my demand almost to understand. And it's not the timeline or the schedule or whatever it is that, we just have to deal with it, and focus on our mental health, focus on our day-to-day health, okay, because it is intense, okay, all this stuff, okay. Yeah, I do think everybody, yeah, it's going to help Americans get better health care. Yes, do I think? Yes. Yes. But the later on, right, because like I said, this, if we had a different type of health system, it would be different, probably, even though, no matter the problems that China has, like they have the national health. I'm not saying we're going to be like China, but right. But I just, that's what I think. I just think that basically, guys, we're not going to survive as a species unless we deal with this, okay? And really address the stuff that is, the ridiculous stuff. Like, why are we subsiding the taxes of the extremely wealthy people? And then we have nothing in return, like very little in return, okay? It's not right. And think about, and I just wanted to say, in response to this, in response to this question, I just wanted to say, sorry guys, I have to look away because otherwise I get some distracted sometimes. I was watching today, the governor of New York also did a press event, and he was saying, he's like, there have been more unemployment claims than 9/11 already. Okay, so he's like, if the federal government doesn't move, we're going to have the Great Depression. And that's what I had touched upon last night when I said, and people are like, oh my God, this is so terrible. It sounds like a horror movie. But that's what I was saying. After the Great Depression, then we had the development of social programs, right? It was only after things got really bad that something had to be done. Okay, you know what I mean? So that's what I think. Okay, you know. So that's what I think. Okay, and I think, guys, if you the right, So yeah, so no, I agree, because even Brazil, like, think about it, Brazil had like a pretty bad, even the public health system is terrible. For example, in Brazil, if you have a urinary tract infection, there's like different things you could count on. Even if it's bad, they will give you the medicines are cheaper, they give you you could see somebody. But even though sometimes, but for serious things it's terrible, because it's a poor, relatively poor country, right? But still, like, it's not right that this is not right. It cannot continue like this, and things, but obviously it's not going to happen now, because it can't happen now because the entire system is overloaded, but then going forward, right, things have to change. Okay, they have to change. There's no excuse around it. It is what it is. Okay, so that's that. Okay, so that's the story, okay, about that. And I think, okay, so it's not that, okay, how can we not be, okay, let me just ask a different question here, okay? So how can we not be scared? Because I know people are desperate and afraid and all those things. It's not that we should not be afraid. Like I told you guys, I go out my house with gloves. I avoid, I'm really doing the best I can, but what is the best mindset to have for this situation? Just think, okay, it's interesting. It's actually, the image it gave me is like a raft. If you're going, have you seen this sport where people go in these rafts in these rivers that are very full of rocks, and it goes water is going down the river very fast. It's kind of like, in a sport like that, you cannot, this is kind of what is happening. We're going down this water, down the river, this rocky river with a very fast water and a raft. So when you're in a situation like that, you can't be emotional. Like, it's not going to help you. Oh my God. Like, you have to be cool and calm. So do what you can. It's not just it sounds actually horrific, but it's, I'm like, I would never do that thing, sounds kind of bad for me, but it's sort of like what it is. It's like a lot of change in a very fast period of time, not knowing what's going to happen, but just holding on, staying, taking care of yourself, watching, you do have to find out what is going on locally, because, there may be something local that pertains to you. But then when you're not doing that, focus on other things, focus on creative. Oh, that's the thing, guys. Oh, I wanted to show you this. My mom sent me this thing. She's kind of like, she's like I think she hides the fact she sometimes pays attention to these things. But it was like somebody, in Brazil, they have a lot of like, spiritual things, but it was like somebody got some sort of spiritual message. Okay. And it said like, this is something, okay. Okay. I'm just going to translate it. Okay. Is it okay if I say it? Okay. So I thought it was so interesting. Um, Okay, I'm just gonna say it, okay, guys, because I think it expresses really well one of the things that I think I've, it sounds a little bit scary, but this is what it's saying. Suddenly, scientists and leaders from all over the world see themselves facing a virus they can't explain, they can't stop. To the invisible eyes of the brothers of light, um, the spectacle of rare beauty is unveiled, changing the world scenario, lessening the lessening the fights between men. Okay, what is it, between people, between different cultures and countries, making so that men return to their homes in a habit long ago left behind by modern society. Because beyond the fear of death, there is the beautiful experience of spiritual renovation. Dozens of disincarnations, like in Portuguese it says desencarnação is when people die. Okay, so does it, in other words, carne means flesh, so on the unfleshing, in other words, becoming like detaching from flesh, right? The disincarnations in mass are part of the current spectrum of Earth. Whether it's because of biological issues or natural disasters, this is a moment of change. This includes ways of thinking, ways of how man behaves with one another, with nature, and everything that surrounds us. All of us that are affected directly or indirectly by this virus receive the opportunity to change. This is what I thought, guys, pausing here. This is what I thought was amazing. We have the opportunity to change now. This is the moment of renovation. That's what I'm saying. Like, in a way, it is a bit scary, but it is in this moment that we have the opportunity to kind of to reassess and to change and to create change internally, if there is such a thing. Okay. um okay. Okay, so anyway, they receive their opportunity to change, whether it's habits, life habits, or concepts connected to your current life, or even about kindness and the power of God over everything else. Earth passes thus in a moment of change of the vibrational levels in order to enter in the era of regeneration. All the spirits connected to your orb, oh, interesting, to the orb, to your all the spirits connected to your orb, whether they are physically connected to you or just spirits, they are going through a significant changes to adapt to the new vibrational pattern. Let us have faith and courage to face these challenging times, certain that everything is happening for the progress and good of humanity. Okay, so this was like okay, so this is nice, guys. I was like, oh, you know what I mean. So this is part of it. Okay, this is part of the things that we are experiencing. Okay, so okay, so I think this is part of it. Okay, so it's not that to be, like I said, it's not like I'm always like a positive, but this is the moment. Okay, to think about, the thing we want to think about. So okay, so anyway, so what do you think, Bob, is going to happen next? Now going back to Bob. Okay, this is exactly what he said. Now the humanity is going to look at each other. This is what is fascinating about what's happening with the coronavirus is that people are forced to look at the person next to you on the street, and think, what happens to him or her happens to me. Okay, so it's forcing us to confront the necessity of compassion. Okay, in a way. So okay, so this is it. Okay, so how does it, guys, I'm curious about the AIDS, situation. How does it feel? What was it like to go to the other side? Bob, and then see all the people that you knew. What was it like? What does it mean? Because I'm still kind of curious about it. Like how we had a mission, we had to live this mission. We were like the angels. Guys, there's a play called Angels in is that Angels in America about the AIDS crisis actually. Isn't there? Like I have not read it and I didn't watch it, okay? So it's like we were unique and special and we dared to go because it's saying, guys, and there's a lot of spiritual theories or whatever that people who have like who are gay, okay, let's just say I think gay sometimes and trans, they are more spiritual developed, okay? No offense, no prejudice against others like me, okay, but really like they are living on the edges, and in a way they have a, I don't know how to explain it, there's just something more, they're challenging the times, they're living on the edge of the next thing, you know what I mean? So okay, okay, so we were had this, like, it's like we're a group of angels, it's like I met all of them and we're all like bright, shining so brightly. So what about, Bob, there's so many people who miss you and all the people, like, how do you, because I think the grief is one of the saddest things, okay? One of the saddest things, I think, how do they deal with it? Okay, how do they, it's very hard for them, but we support, we're around them and they know we are, okay? But I feel like they're saying the challenge for them is that this grief that they experienced, it was like the wiping out of the population, their entire community. Sometimes they're gone. So what, it's like this pain that others don't understand. And it's very solitary, okay, you see. So we try to be with them as much as we can, okay? So and of course they feel for us, but how do you see the pain of what you went through and everybody went through? It was so quick and so fast and so all enveloping, okay? But he's saying that then what he remembers the most, like I said, is the coldness and the carelessness of some people, okay, and the society in general. That was more painful than the pain itself in many ways, okay? But that he saw so much beauty, and that he learned the extremes of humanity in a way, okay? Okay, so okay, okay, so okay, so guys, okay, so next, okay, so okay, guys, you know what? I kind of want to talk to, actually, KB. Thank you for reminding me. Roy Cohn. I don't know if he's available in hell because he must be hell for him out for hundreds of years. But I'm interested. Okay, I want to know. I'm kind of interested because he's his best friend of Trump supposedly, and then Trump abandoned him when he was dying of AIDS, right? So okay, so I'm interested here. Okay, a little. But let me go back here to the other stories. Now let me go to Randy, okay, quickly. Randy, because he wrote the book. So what is the book that we're gonna write, Randy? I know we wrote about the AIDS, but we're considering the situation. What is the parallel? What is the difference? What is the connection? Okay. Okay. What is the story that's going to be written about this when this is over? Just as you were writing the story of the AIDS era, what is the story you're going to write about this? People were forced to come together because they were afraid. Fear is a powerful motivator, he's saying, and self-preservation. Okay, but as you were saying before, in the past, they thought that AIDS was someone else's problem, and they blamed us for it. Okay, and they didn't want to investigate. They didn't think it was their problem. And now this gets very close to home. Anybody could catch it. So things are happening. They're going to happen faster. A lot of people said a lot of people may die worldwide, and that is going to force the world to come together. It's not connected to classes. Sometimes upper classes, okay. It is not about necessarily the poor versus rich. Okay, the rich people they will not necessarily be able to protect themselves as much. Okay, so what is the story? People came together, communities. It's a renewal of community spirit. Okay, renewal and development and understanding of communities. The power of communities and the power of coming together, okay, and addressing the needs of others. Because if we don't, this is the thing, if you don't address their needs, you could get sick, okay? So, okay. So, and then the politicians will lose their jobs if they don't do something about it, okay, which they will. And then this guy will, okay. So, guys, I'm gonna ask a question, okay? So this is not related to Randy, okay? This is not related to AIDS, related to Trump. That I just come to me, and I think, I know, like, as you know, I don't like conspiracy theories or whatever, but I'm just wondering, with all this spiritual stuff, is this a way to wipe out the Trump administration? Okay, seriously, because it's like we tried everything. Okay, is the spirit sending a cleansing agent to like get rid of? Because as I keep reading this stuff about changing the vibrational pattern, it almost makes me think that Trump, okay, the Trump administration does not match the pattern, does not match pattern. No match pattern. So is this a way to like, okay, is this a way that, okay, so why doesn't, don't you think it's not a coincidence that this is happening? Right, and even the Brazilian president, who's a truly awful person, like he's doing so many horrible things to humanity, to earth, just see how the burning of Amazon, all these things, okay? So I can't help but feel like is this true? Okay, is it, can I ask a question? Do you mind if I ask? Because I'm almost wondering, if there's a reason here that, that in a way, I think there's a sense of, okay, there's a deep sense of unfairness about AIDS, okay, because it would attack this group of people. But with the coronavirus, I think that it's almost like it seems to be particularly, I don't say fair, but it's hitting all these people, okay, uh, close to President, and then the Brazilian president, and all these people. So is there something in it? Okay, is there, you know what I'm saying? Like, is there something there? Okay, because you know how they are like, oh yeah, the world is ending or something like that, but it's not, right? Is there a relationship there? Okay? It's a, don't you think it's very ironic that Trump is a germaphobe? Think about how ironic that is. That he is very afraid of germs. Maybe he's não informa erros, huh? Maybe não informa erros. Okay. Guys, I really do see, I think I saw this image, a very strange image yesterday. It was like, it's like a vacuum cleaner that is like sucks out the, it was supposed to suck him out of earth. Like it's their time to take their souls. Like, this is like, it's expiring time for you. Expire time for you. Like you've gone on for too long. Oh, and it's funny, my mom was telling me, I think it's about this Greek myth. I think it's hubris, right? It's a Greek myth. It's like saying something like this happens at times when humans challenge gods and they think they're just like God. And that is what happens when you think you're like God, suddenly your frailty appears. So they were able to fake their resemblance to God, or to kind of misrepresent who they are for so long, until God decided to show its hand, okay, and to remind them of who has the upper hand. And it's not it's not a coincidence that this is affecting many of the things that Trump likes. First of all, that he's gonna, like, he's a germaphobe. It's a germ, okay? It's this germ thing. It's not, there's no cure, but it's in the air. You know what I mean? And then the second thing, it affects the stock market. So everything, it's like all of the people who worship the money, worship money and think that money is more important than humans, are going to get hurt and get affected by this, okay? Is he a germaphobe? I think he's OCD, okay? That's what I see. He's like wiping, you know what I mean? He may be OCD, but he was very messy. I saw pictures of his office. There was a lot of papers about him. Did you see his office? It was very messy. When I think of, I don't know, seems weird to me. But that's what I feel like. He's the cleaning. You know how people like that, they want to clean because they feel like they're dirty themselves. They want to clean because, right? So, okay, so next question. Okay, so what about, and let's say the oil market, the oil, that's right, it's going to be very difficult for these oil, like oils, once oil ceases to be as profitable, then there's going to be alternatives, okay? Exactly. So KB said precious Mar-a-Lago hotels and resorts are impacted. Exactly. So, isn't it interesting, guys? I don't even remember the last time travel was impacted so badly. So exactly, his hotels and all these things, it's going to be hard, okay? And it happened right at Mar, guys. What are the odds? Okay. I'm sorry, don't you think it's weird like that Mar-a-Lago, there's all these people that got sick there. It's a hot spot, they call it, right? It's a hot place. Okay? Think about it. Mar-a-Lago was very, very affected by it, okay? So, okay, it's very interesting, fine, very interesting. Okay. So what's gonna happen to Mar-a-Lago? Are they gonna close Mar-a-Lago? Like really, guys, it's dangerous, okay? So guys would tell, yeah. So what's happening in Mar-a-Lago? It's interesting because he loves to touch people. That's right. He loves to hug. He loves to see people around him. He's like this, talking to people. And that was the meeting place. This is how, okay, guys, this is how this is how he makes money every by charging the government each time he goes to Mar-a-Lago. And then B, this is how he receives, I think he's saying, this is how he receives information from foreign country. Foreign country talk about Mar-a-Lago. Okay, so he gets messages, okay, in a way over there, Mar-a-Lago or something like that. So is it gonna? Yes, guys, I think that it's gonna be closed because there's gonna be okay. Can I tell you this is crazy? Okay, so so let me just tell you, just to give you an idea. Like I was saying, this woman, I think she's in DC area. She was a psychologist. She went to a conference in New York, and it turns out 30 people from the conference, or no, 13 or 16 or something, I don't even remember, were infected with this thing. So just that gives you an idea that it's not as if you were talking to each other, but if there's one person who's in a thing and there's a small enclosed space, like Mar-a-Lago is exactly that. Okay, you're talking to people. It's kind of like a New Year's Eve party mode. Think about it, right? Think about how bad it is, right? So that's the situation. So there's going to be more people infected, and they got, guys, I was seeing the image. Where was it? Oh, that's right, I saw this image of I think it was somebody from the National Guard cleaning a school in Washington State, like like disinfecting a school or something like that. Okay, and that has to be done in Mar-a-Lago, because think about it, there have been so many infections, like, don't you think? Okay, don't you think it's strange, okay, that this happened there? Don't you think? I think it's a little strange. And it's dangerous. It's dangerous because, and I think Trump is really scared because it's going to hit the brand, but who cares about the brand? Like, people are going to start to complain. Honestly, guys, I think he tries, can I tell you something else? This is so crazy. I think he has, if you join Mar-a-Lago, you have to sign some sort of like non-disclosure agreement. He's obsessed about it, right? So he's trying to, like, there's more people that are infected, but he's trying to, like, prevent them from talking. Isn't that crazy? Trying to prevent them from talking because this is that, okay? Exactly. There's a shutdown. So because he's the president, he's going to try to prevent the shutdown until you have a large number of people that are like having got sick. And because I'm not saying, like, a lot of them are older, they're friends of Trump or whatever, and then they may get sick, and then they may, you know what I mean? They may pass away, some powerful people even. Okay, and I see like one of those, one of his, like, I don't know, it's like one of those like donors or whatever, he's friends that go, whatever, shady people. So this is, this may happen indeed. Okay, so is this a way? Okay, so what happens? Just so, as guys, yesterday, like I said, it was a very intense live stream, and we all got nervous about the developments about the Supreme Court and all that. So how is Trump gonna, is still, how is this? They announced this being disinfected yesterday. Is that what it is? Mar-a-Lago. Oh, interesting. Is that right? Wow. What is a typhoid Mary situation? I don't know what that means. Okay, so because they're saying, president, you have to shut it down. That's right. They're saying there cannot be gatherings of more than 10 people or 50 people. They have to shut down Mar-a-Lago then. You know what I mean? Think about it. They have to shut it down, right? That's what it is. So, but he's upset because he can't charge the government. That's right. I think he can still fly there, but there's not going to be people there. Okay, he's going to be have to be more isolated. Okay, so what does it mean for the Trump presidency and all the things falling apart? I just see, guys, everything falling apart, everything falling apart. And he's doing it, like I'll say, this is the goal. Like, of course, now he's doing more. He's worried, or all that, or he's worried and all those things. But as you know, I think right now his biggest motivator is to keep himself in the presidency. Like, why hasn't he resigned? Right? It's because he's afraid of the law. He's afraid of the law, and he's afraid that he's going to have to go to prison as soon as he leaves the government. Okay. So are we gonna just quickly? Are we gonna have elections, normal elections, or what's gonna happen? I feel like it's telling me by the end of the spring, like there's just gonna be, okay, I know it sounds like, I don't want to scare you or anything. It is not the point. The point is saying that everything is falling apart. Okay, until everything, it's kind of like, may sound like a bad comparison, guys, but 9/11, the towers, they fell, right? And then, after they fell, the buildings for several days or for the next day or something, they kept collapsing because it was the heat of, long story, the steel was, the heat on the steel was like it had this effect of, like, long story, so something like that, like the whole thing is collapsing. It's just a matter of, like, it looks like it's put together, but there's no structure, so the structure is going to fall apart even more. Okay. And I think the consequences were that oh, that's what I was going to say. This is the thing. I'll close my eyes again. So what I understand here also, it's saying that how Trump was refusing to do, like, this is going to be a time where whatever he refuses to do hits him immediately back. So if he doesn't want to help people, it's going to hit him. If he doesn't want to, they're going to have to use the army to build more, hospital beds and all those things. Okay, they're going to have to do it. It's not optional. You know how they always are, like, trying to. I think his family loses motivation if they can profit from it. Okay, if they can profit from it, then they're not interested. So the tendency. So how are we gonna? What's gonna happen? What's gonna happen then if they're completely, it's saying, guys, this is a thing that I said before, the money people, the Wall Street people that he likes are gonna be like, you have to the donors are gonna desert him because they see the price they had to pay for supporting him, right? This is true. Like, you can't trust the guy. He's going to destroy the country, and everybody sees it. So there's not going to be support for him, even though they say, but they have a lot of money for his reelection. But I just feel like guys, the support is diminished. And if he can't have the rallies, it's the thing. You know how he loved doing rallies? If he can't do rallies, he gets sad. He gets really upset. I think he should have left a long time ago. He's going to continue, and it's going to be disaster for him. Would they be able? I don't think they'll be able to stay. No, I'm not worried. Actually, I'm not worried. Again, I don't know how exactly, but I don't see how they're going to be able to say, because, guys, this is just the beginning. You have to remember, this is just the beginning. Once things start showing in the media of people in this hospital, you know what it is, guys. Once he starts seeing his voters in conditions that are like the immigrants he put in the border, like with the kind of like a what is it called, not a concentration camp, but like a refugee camp, okay, status, he's gonna be like, oh my god, like, he wants to hide it. Okay, what could happen? So if we don't have enough beds or whatever could happen, you know what I mean? So he can't, it's like he can only live in the realm of beautiful things, or like, so pumping up, like, I'm so great, everything. I think things are going to turn around, but like I said, he only likes denial. Okay, he only likes denial. Exactly. Outdoor field hospital tents. Exactly. Okay. Kind of like I guess they have the army does it in like, you know, battlefields or whatever you call it, okay, right? So, you know, it's serious, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like, oh, it's so positive, huh? You know? So, okay. Okay, so interesting. Okay, so okay, Jesse Helms and Ronald Reagan. What did okay, quickly, just what do Jesse Helms and Ronald Reagan have to tell us about this? What's happening? Yeah, it's like Jesse Helms is still there, like experiencing the pain of the AIDS patients and all the people that he thought were he had to fight. He's saying, I was when I was in Congress, you know, when I was that right? He was a senator, so whatever. He was. I was in the government. I was always fighting against people. I was always only very selective in the people that I wanted to help, and I really honestly wanted to destroy some people. I really hated the ones that were not like me, and now I'm understanding what they went through. This is part of my journey. It's going to take many, many dozens of years, hundreds of years for me to be able to reincarnate. Okay. So, oh, interesting. Jeffrey MASH units. I don't know what but is it the show, right? The MASH. So, okay. So next. Okay. So next is, so what about President Reagan? Like, what do you think? It's like he's sad. He's sad. He's like, I'm sad that I was able to unite the country, but it was not, it was a cleaned up version. It was Hollywood. He's saying, I was Hollywood. I left a lot of people behind and I needed that. It was like he was sort of saying I was like a fascist person, like in the sense that we presented this perfect image that's not real, that was not real, and that a lot of people suffered on the sidelines. And he's like, my era was the beginning of the end. Right? In a weird way, he's saying something like, we made it our goal to destroy the support system of a lot of people. He's saying the most vulnerable were left on this, because, you know, guys, how he left, one of the things that he did, he closed a lot of like mental hospitals. Okay. So a lot of people that are homeless also have mental health issues. So he closed, there's no mental health places, right? So yeah, in New York, like I don't know if I told you, but when I would go to the public library, there's mostly mentally health, like that's where they stay during the day in the library, because when it's cold, you know what I mean, most of the time New York is pretty cold most of the time. It's not that comfortable outside, right? So you don't have that, and then you start, it's like the attack on the most vulnerable. That's it. My era was the beginning of a not the beginning, but it was like, is like a real focus of what we did. Okay, we really wanted to get rid of, they blamed the vulnerable people on they were like the disease of America. Like they thought that poverty was a disease, and that you had to put in, it's so crazy. It's kind of like there's something like, we thought that poverty was contagious. I don't explain it, the way that he had like contempt and fear of poor people. Okay, and he thought that the more you just have to like I don't know, it's really weird. Okay, he was like, he had a contempt. That's what it is, contempt, and hatred, honestly. And that's like we fought a very, what is the word, dirty campaign to harm the most vulnerable. That's right. We fought a dirty campaign, and it has, you know, in a way, it paved the way for the policies that have been going on for a long time. Like they thought that we could really turn, like, that's, guys, as you know, the right wing really, really wants to destroy any social system. Okay, the social system, you know, that everybody, I think people should have, it's like that's what they've been destroying all along. Every single, regardless of whoever the president is, the GOP, that's their, you know, it's saying, and it's saying, interesting, the funny thing that I see here, the interesting thing he's saying is that the GOP sees the GOP president, as, even though they say they love Trump, it's just a figurehead. What really happens behind the scenes and happens in Congress, he's saying. And that we were figureheads to entertain the crowds, while they destroyed everything behind the scenes. Okay, and I see the image of a mechanic, like mechanics using, you know, different tools to take away the removing screwdrivers. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like taking apart everything. That's right. As like, oh, entertain, no, 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 ha, 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 and then they would take apart everything. That's what the GOP does. It's like we have the army, like a person who entertains, and that, and it's like they did that to Bush. You know, the older Bush was not as popular because they didn't get it. That they needed a clown figure, and that's what they did to his son. They transformed it into a clown figure, okay, kind of like a person who's entertaining, okay, and he's kind of nice, ha ha ha, while the people who are in charge of everything, they make it, you know, they take it apart. Okay, so it's interesting. I find it interesting. Okay, okay, so what happens then to your party, Mr. Reagan, now that we're in the coronavirus? Do you see the harm you've caused to everybody? It's like, yeah, I see it. I've been told, and I'm learning here. I'm learning. I got all the glory. But now they're telling me about the dark stuff. They saw everything I was doing. They really saw. Over here, there's no lies, okay? There's like over there, there's like no lies. So, okay, so what's gonna happen to your friends? To Turtle. Turtle, Turtle. To your friend Turtle. Turtle. Huh? Like Turtle. So what happens to Turtle? Okay, Turtle. He's gonna drown. He's like a frog. He's like puts him like a frog, like drowning in the dirty water, polluted water. Okay, drowning, the turtle drowning. Okay, so what else? What I mean, what happened? But really, I mean, literally, what happens to them? It's like like a Rosie. Like this is true. The change. It's like the change in the era. It's like we have new. It's the new era. Okay, coming. The new era coming, and this doesn't fit. They have no place anymore in this era. Okay, and they don't even know, because it's saying the problem is that they were so excited and so gung-ho with this, with the Trump situation, that when things happen quickly, the changes happen very quickly, and they will happen very quickly. They don't even know what to say. They're dumbfounded. They're like, what? Like, we, you know, they rehearsed, they acted. Like, there's a lot of people like looking in the mirror, Mr. Brett, to see how they're going to talk to Trump, because they think that Trump is the key to their permanent employment in politics. But the moment they learn it, it's going to be over so fast, and they're going to have to adapt. But he's saying, like, it's not going to be hard to adapt in a way, because it's going to be about truth, but truth not in a dialectical way, but in the sense of purity, right? Or it's just not bullshit. Stopping the bullshit. Okay, you know what I mean. So I think this is the, I think, okay. So guys, this today is not not what I expected, I guess. Okay, but it's very interesting. I like it a lot. Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to mislead you into thinking it was just, but it just happened this way. Okay, I find it interesting. So what's going to happen to the GOP and Trump? They're like sinking. They're sinking down. It's kind of like the era changed, and they have to move along. They have to go. They're going to go. They don't know what to do. They're lost, and they don't understand that people matter. That's the thing. It's like, oh, oh. They thought, because it's showing here that they thought that going to the government, it was about helping their business people. Okay, and it's saying how the senators, what happens is, like, they would it's almost like there's this unspoken deal, or maybe it was spoken, but like, that they would get into government, and if they left government, they would immediately have job in whatever enterprise they wanted. So it was like kind of like a brotherhood of, like, helping each other out, washing each other's, wash your back, wash your back kind of feeling. Okay, and now that they don't know, if they don't have that, they don't know anything, but they were like, it's almost like they had this acting class, not acting classes. They were told how to act and what to say, the talking points, in other words. But the point of it was so that they could continue to do the work that they did behind the scenes. You know what I mean? So I find it interesting. I find this is interesting. So then they're kind of like, and the new, I see like all these, like, I guess, protests. Okay, and then they're trampled. Like, they're just like, they're gone. They just very quickly. Okay, they work it at their own time and hours. Exactly. So like I said, when the things change, and they seem to change, they're going to change very quickly. They just have no motivation. They don't know what to do because their motivation was greed. Okay, honestly, was greed and right. So 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 because it's saying, the problem is saying like this had to happen. This coronavirus in a weird way had to happen because this is, you have to break the chain. These people are very destructive. This is the thing. They're hateful and destructive. And like, but it's not, it's like, make no mistake, this isn't just about Trump. Trump is just a later stage of this development. It started a long time ago. Okay, so it makes sense, right, guys? It makes sense. And they've been cultivating this like hate speech and like the bots and all those things to make us become separate and separate. Isn't that interesting? Because it says like how social media and the way they use trolls and bots like separates people, but now we're forced to stay home and be with each other, with the closest that we know, people that we know. So I find interesting, really interesting. So you know so this is good. Okay, so now I just quickly, I still, guys, like, okay, so are we gonna find, okay, so are we gonna, I still want to, just going back to the AIDS activists, I just want to know, are they going to play a role going forward? They're gonna be recognized? I think it's saying there's going to be more, like, these people are going to lecture what to do when a crisis, what it's like, how to survive a plague, like, how do you do that? And I think it's not the end of the story. There's going to be a rediscovery, okay, of that. Okay, so okay, guys. So if you're watching, okay, now I'm going to move a little bit, okay. Should I ask? What about? Okay, I actually don't want to talk about. Was it Roy Cohn? It's so dark, like Roy Cohn. I think he's like Jesse Helms, paying the price. He's paying price, pay price. So So anyway, but I want to ask you, like I said, if you like to have conversations with somebody from the other side who died of AIDS, okay, just let me know. If you're watching, okay, just let me know, okay, because I think it could be interesting. Just not ask them any questions about this. Just if you wanna, because I think the part of the reading, okay, I think I answered answer questions for me. I think, right? Don't you think, guys? I need to think about it now. I think I'm gonna digest today because it was interesting. I find very interesting. I think what for Americans here, but that's that. Okay. If not, then but let me know. Okay, let me know if you. I know it's like a mixed bag. Becoming more like a mixed bag kind of reading, but I thought it was actually very interesting to see from those people. Okay, from Reagan, right? Especially, it was interesting. The message. I have a question about still the Trump situation. I know a lot of us are anxious about Trump leaving. How can we deal with this feeling of wanting him to leave, and then the same thing, this is happening? It feels like he's in charge of the narrative. It's saying he's just as nature, like as we're saying, everything is going to fall apart. So don't worry about it. It's within the natural order of things. It's saying, don't think about it too much. Take it day by day. Okay. 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 So that's that. No, Joan, I did not talk to Freddie Mercury. I don't know why. I didn't announce Freddie Mercury. I don't know why. It's funny he didn't call. I guess I was talking to activists. Okay, so Laverne and Corey. Okay, so okay, it was like okay, so KB. Okay, okay. This is for guys. I'm sorry, but it's about AIDS. Okay, unless seriously. Okay. Okay. I'm sorry, but like just not right now. Okay, just maybe let's see if other. Okay. So, because it's not like a personal reading necessarily yet. Okay, just so no. Okay, just for now. Okay, just Okay, so yeah, okay, that's okay. No, next time, oh, another time. There may be another time. I just wanna. So okay, KB, just okay, KB, um, KB. I just want to say Laverne. Okay, Laverne. I feel like it was this person like totally full of life and like really fun and like so alive. Okay, and he, lived is like I lived it at such a great time. I lived during such a wonderful time. I enjoyed life so much. And then it shows, as he was getting sick, it was harrowing and so painful. And he felt like this feeling of, not, guys, I don't know how to explain it. It's like desperation, desperation of like, that not only there was no cure, but the pain they were feeling. It was like, guys, the most awful thing. Okay. Like how they would get these diseases that were just like so horrific and just like, like just lose their body weight, diarrhea, like all, it's like they couldn't control their bodies. It was not predictable. It was okay. You know what I mean? So then he felt is like I said, he was alone. Okay. This is what I think is some of the saddest things that I sense here is that even is not even just about the pain and the loss of control, is that is a sense of loneliness that they couldn't, it was just like sudden, and it was very sudden, like it happened like this, and then suddenly they got sick and it was like very fast. But that while this was happening at towards the end, even though he felt the sadness, the heartbrokenness of it, of the loneliness, that he felt like the presence of God and that he was safe. Okay, he was safe and he lived a great life. It's like, of course it was painful, but I lived, a great life, and I had the greatest friends, and so don't feel, so how, okay, so that you feel sometimes you wish you could have done something to change people. I don't know if it's like his family member or a friend or somebody that we knew, but that's not, don't worry about it. It's like I had a great life. That's how you how you should remember me. Okay. And the good times that we had and the laughs, and he was so funny and he was like a lighthearted person. Okay. So, okay. Oh my God, crying. Okay, so okay, so this is, so this is it. Okay, so now so this is for just one other okay, just one second, guys. So Laverne and Corey. Okay. Oh, is that right? I don't know. So no, because I feel like there was somebody who was like, I don't know if you like roller skating, and there was something like a very active dancing person. Okay. Okay, yeah. So it was just like this very active like person, like fun, laughing. Okay. And okay, I feel like in a way like they didn't really have, sorry, I think they, from his perspective, he lived a great life. This is the thing that happened before. It was a great life. And I think he doesn't regret it, and it was just happened quickly and relative to everything else. Okay. And I think it's not, I mean, I think what I also understand is that after, when they passed, it's not that they forgot about the pain, is that, it was difficult. Of course it was very difficult, but they thought that they had a, for honest, it's not like, oh, I had a great life, don't worry about it. But it was just that the stuff that they lived before cannot be thrown away. It was worth, like, you know what I mean, that he had a great life and he loved it, and he feels, not that he paid the price, I don't explain it, that somehow when he moved to the other side, it's like you move to the other side and it's not that you forget about the pain, but the love over there, it's like so immense. And they're able to understand what happened, why people did what they did, and all those things. So it contextualizes what they went through, because that's what the thing I think I'm getting here is like, it's for most people, right? It's like this the loneliness and the prejudice is almost worse than the pain they felt in their bodies. Okay, but then they, it's not that they, you know, like I said, it's not that they forget it, but they understand it better on the other side. Okay, so okay, because they're saying the people that helped us were so, they were like angels, so it was like, you know, really moving. Okay, so okay, so then okay, so I'm gonna okay, so Donnell is like Donnell, yeah, so yeah, but it's like it's a very sad situation. Okay, I think with the couple now, I'm here, the couple, the John and Sitsi here. Okay, John and what's it here, the name of the wife? Okay, Johanna. Wait, so it was the couple that died and the baby, is that right? The couple and the baby, is that right? Yeah. So because I see the man, he was like, to me, he looked like almost like a middle-aged man, or almost like he wore the had a beard. It was like a white guy, like a random, like, I mean, honestly, it seems like to me like that. Um, and I feel like he was just like a nice man, and he felt so awful. Like, was it the stuff that you said that he was hemophiliac? Is that what it is? I don't know if that's the case, but he gave it to the wife, right? Or he was, I don't know what, but he was like, he was a kind of a outwardly like straight-laced person, and then you know, and then and then he just felt like the immense grief of like, what are we gonna do with the kids? Okay, like I felt like, because to him it wasn't like he was even feeling the pain. Like the pain to him didn't matter, like the physical pain, but the pain of the leaving the children behind, and the guilt, he felt so guilty, you know, that he had given it to them. Like he was like, I wish why did it have to happen? Okay, and I think he was like really honestly not even depressed, I don't know what to say, but of course it was a horrible thing. Okay, so he didn't care like how people looked at them differently, but it was more about the kids. Okay, sorry. So anyway, so I feel like they were, you know, but he said like, oh my god, sorry. So because I'm was moving. Okay, but he said like, I gave them a little star, each child a little star, and they, so that they knew that they could talk to me from the other side. Like I feel like he made something like a piece of paper, I don't know what it was, like a little star that they would speak, that it would tell, we're gonna go, but this is how you can talk to me or talk to us. Okay, so because he was like, he prayed, you know, he cared so much. I mean, obviously, well, not obviously, but you know, he was so worried about them, and that they always knew that they could talk to them on the other. And I think, honestly, I think I don't know what faith they had, but I'm not saying that it's about the fact they were necessarily religious, but the faith helped, because they knew, I don't know what faith it was, that they could talk to people on the other side, that they could talk to heaven. They were educated to understand that this was possible, so that they knew that they were not going to be alone, you know. And so it's complicated, right? It's like they were in a world where it was acceptable to think that they could contact them on the other side or talk to them. They know how to pray, they were taught, you know what I mean? So he knew that's like, I'm not going to be around in this world, but I'm always going to be with you, always. Even like there was one of them, like when they were so 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 anyways, so they knew, even like he would help them. I feel like on the other side he was helping them studying, like when they were studying he was like helping them, like talking to them, you know what I mean, like, so giving them. And I think that all the kids, even with the strategy, they have a sense of peace about them. Okay, I don't know how else to explain it. Okay, so so that's that. So I think, like I said, the suffering was that, but I think he planned, and the faith helped, and he passed it on to the children. And I think they were, the children were, they had some time, I feel like you're saying, in the sense it wasn't immediate, like it wasn't like a couple months, boom. It was like they knew this was happening, and so they planned and they created stories, and they, you know what I mean, I think so. Okay, right, I think so. So they were kind of, it's not they were prepared, like when the parents die, like it's very hard. But I think also the community, there were people who cared for the kids. Okay, and they knew, and they're still connected, like children with each other, they have a strong bond. Okay, okay, so oh my god, sorry. So this is story, oh my god, oh my god. So in Haraksha is saying, I just want to comment on the Haraksha saying, in heaven everyone is healed, happy, and young again. I don't know if this is, it's not necessarily true. Sometimes it takes time. Okay, there's different stages. It's like, honestly, I think there's different stages, different like sections that people go to. If they need, some people need more healing than others. It's not immediate. It takes some time. Sometimes, like, it's different. It's not this. It's not like that exactly. It's like, some people need more healing. Other people need to, to deal with some of the pain they dealt with in this life. Okay, like violent deaths, stuff like that. Like sometimes, it's not the same exactly, but it's not, and it's not about the flesh. Okay, it's not how you look, it's more like the light. Okay, so and I don't know if there's a garden name for them. Is there a garden, like in a community, in a city or somewhere, like where they have, or maybe the kids come together and they always, there's just a physical place where it has their names on it, I think. Oh, it's called, they're like, no, it's not called the cemetery. No, but it's not like where, it's not necessarily the cemetery, somewhere else, like some sort of garden, I don't know where. There's a little plaque. I don't know if there's, if they did it or something, or however, because I see. So okay, okay. Oh my God, guys, it's intense. No, it's intense. So it's kind of, crazy. Okay, so today, and by the way, guys, I honestly don't know if I'm gonna do the coronavirus tonight. Okay, I may do something that is not live. Okay, because I feel like, honestly, I am a little bit like, I think I was, going like so hard. Okay, I'll see how I feel. Okay, I'm not sure yet, because I don't, I have to be careful to not get like, and this is not the same, guys. By the way, it's not this type of emotional intensity is okay. It's more like when I sense anxiety and like everything is going on, it's tough. So sometimes I feel like I'm not prepared to like deal with it all the time. I think it's good to like, I don't know, I'll see how I feel. Okay, and how things change. And then, okay, so okay, all right. Okay, so I don't know if, okay, so I hope, I hope it's okay. This, okay. So okay, so this is it, guys. Okay, so I'm gonna go. All right. Yeah. So yeah, so this is it, guys. But like I said, I do think, if anything to take from this today, is that we are witnessing a time of transformations. Really, and I think, it is a difficult time, but I think take care of ourselves. Right. So thank you for watching. Okay, thank you. All right. So we'll talk soon. Okay. Like if not tonight, then definitely tomorrow for sure. Okay. All right. See you later. See you later. Okay.